I like to talk about how video games have actually done a lot. In the previous one I was with Cool Walker, we were talking about how tabletop has helped people come to terms with mental issues and various other things. I wanted to drag Chaerod into a conversation of what it has done for like LGBTQ stuff.
Representation, giving kids a positive role model, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and in prepping for this, when prepping for this episode, I did come across this article, which you guys will see now. I will drop a link for it in the chat, so if you want to read it on your own. But the idea that someone playing Breath of the Wild helped them come to terms with the idea of their bisexual identity is really what it came out to. I really like the idea that that being a thing. Oh, now I see why I'm having troubles with that. Okay, hang on.
A character previously depicted, because in prior iterations, and this is something they go over in the article, in prior iterations of Legend of Zelda, Zelda was a very traditionally feminine, princess captured by the enemy and having to be saved by the man. But then in Breath of the Wild, she takes a significantly more active role and is suddenly one of the heroes.
Which I do pose one challenge to that, because in Ocarina of Time, you literally have Zelda as Sheik for most of the story. Mind you, if the person never got to play Ocarina of Time, that would be understandable. And the only time that Zelda's actually in trouble is at the end, but that's spoilers.
Right. Yes, spoilers for a game for the Nintendo 64.
Spoilers. Actually, they might be another re-release for Switch, so spoilers.
All right. But that's another interesting point about Zelda, and the fact that you could make the argument that the outfit of Sheik is just more practical for being a badass than a dress with your hair down and everything like that. But the fact that Zelda kind of has to hide her identity when she's being Sheik, to sort of meet expectations and things like that. The common folk shouldn't know that their princess is actually a bona fide badass because expectations. And that's something it honestly could, if you squint and tilt your head to the side, be an allegory for being in the closet.
That's actually a very good point. I hadn't thought of it that way at that angle. And once again, I love that we're able to have this kind of conversation because in once again, I grew up during the time of I grew up in a time where if you played video games, it just wasn't good. Let's put it that way for the short answer.
I'm a little bit younger than you, so I grew up in the generation where only losers played video games.
Oh yeah, same thing.
I got teased a lot in middle school. Now, granted, there were a lot of things behind that, and we're not talking about bullying on this stream, but I got teased a lot.
We can talk about that too.
Warcraft. Yeah, we can segue into it after we go over our LGBT discussions.
No, of course. So, and then there's more to it. Like, I love, but like there is a lot that can be said about Zelda and like the way it's influenced not just gaming culture as a whole. Although it wasn't the first RPG game on a console, it wasn't the first game that saved your progress. Although it usually is heralded as such. The genre or the game series as a whole has, like we're seeing with just that article alone, showing an example of challenging that gender norm right there. So
it's broken a lot of new ground.
Yeah,
just in general.
And then also just Breath of the Wild on its own face, talking about as a game, took the concept of what was expected of a Zelda game and then turned it on its head and made it even better, just like Ocarina of Time did back in the day, which was probably a Tuesday.
Now, granted, I haven't played a Zelda game since Majora's Mask, so I'm pretty behind on the current iteration of the game, but I have seen lots of references to it. Most of my friends are avid Nintendo players.
Don't worry, we'll get Chaerod to play it. Don't worry.
I don't have a Switch.
We'll fix that. We're gonna drag you into playing Monster Hunter Rise as well. You don't have a choice in the matter. I've performed the summoning ritual. You're gonna have to.
Did you have enough coffee in the summoning? Who am I kidding? It's you.
It's also Death
You
Wish
probably have
coffee.
too much coffee. Oof.